I've been trying to call. I've been on my own for long enough. Maybe you can show me how to love. Maybe I'm going through withdrawals. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch, baby. I look around and since city's cold and empty, no one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep right until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm running out of time, 'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Hit the road in overdrive. This city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm coming back to let you know I can never say it on the phone. But whenever let me go this time, I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. Feel free to be whoever you want to be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel free. Feels like the world.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Two Tone Talk by God Pod with your host, me, Brad Steele, right here live on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you're listening or watching from. Thank you for tuning in, and I do want to apologize. Want to start off episode 81 with an apology. I have been doing episodes on Monday and Friday. Was not able to do an episode Monday because I woke up Monday morning with absolutely no voice whatsoever. And you just trust me, you did not want to listen to me try to talk for 30 to 40 minutes about the Tennessee Titans or anything else. So, was not able to do an episode Monday. I really didn't get my voice back mostly until yesterday. So, glad to be back on the Two Tone Talk podcast today, just 2 days before the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. We started with 32 teams, and now we're down to just 2. Oh, who are you going for this Sunday? The 49ers or the Chiefs? I will make my pick here today. But first, we must talk about any news going on with the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans made a hire, a new quarterback coach, and this is notable because Will Levis, going from year 1 to year 2, going to be learning a new offense, and I hate that he's already having to do that, but he's going to be learning a new offense, going to be learning a new system. Bo Hardgree is the new quarterback coach for the Tennessee Titans. He is going to be working alongside Will Levis, graduate assistant at Duke from 2008 to 2010, intern at LSU from 2011 to 2013, offensive quality control coach with the Denver Broncos in 2014 and 2015. He was an offensive assistant with the Chicago Bears from 2016 to 2018, quarterback coach for the Miami Dolphins from 2019 to 2020, offensive assistant for the New York Jets, 2021, offensive assistant for the New England Patriots, and 2022 and 2023, he was the quarterback coach / interim offensive coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders. And this is an impressive hire in that there were some teams looking at this guy to come in and be their offensive coordinator. You know, you look at what he was able to do with the Raiders when he stepped in as the interim offensive coordinator after they got rid of McDaniels this year and everything. With Aiden O'Connell, the Raiders were able to have a pretty respectable offense. I mean, you remember what they did to the Chiefs on Christmas Day. I mean, the Raiders were able to have a passable, respectable offense, even with Aiden O'Connell. So I think that made a lot of people want this guy to come in as their offensive coordinator, but the Titans got him to come in as their quarterback coach. So he will be working alongside Will Levis. One thing that I have been wondering as the offseason goes on and we start to, free agency is going to open back up next month. Then obviously you've got the draft, any trades that might happen along the way there over the summer or whatever else. One thing I have wondered is, what will the backup quarterback situation be like for Tennessee next year with Will Levis as the starter? Because I think we've seen it, especially over the last couple of seasons, it has never been more important to have a good backup quarterback than it is now. I mean, you're seeing a lot of teams having to rely on backup quarterbacks for a little chunk of the season to get them wins. And it makes me wonder, I mean, do you just go with Malik Willis as the backup? Or, because Will Levis is so young, do you try to bring in a veteran presence into the quarterback room to try to, have somebody with some experience that can help Will Levis? Because he is still young, obviously. He's only been in the league 1 year. That'll be an interesting thing to see. And obviously this new coach will be working alongside of them. A couple of players that have been talked about, one for the draft, one for free agency, over these last few days. The first of which is Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia, projected to go probably top 10 right now in the draft. Brock Bowers was asked in the media this week, is there a team in particular that you would like to be drafted to? And normally, when players are asked this, they say, oh, anywhere that'll have me. I'm ready to go to work wherever I go. Brock Bowers said, I would like to be drafted by the Tennessee Titans. That is what he said. And he said, some of it had to do with location. It's closer to home, his family and everything. But it has got a lot of people talking about the potential of the Tennessee Titans drafting Brock Bowers. And obviously we have heard a lot about Joe Alt, the offensive tackle, who is projected to go top 10. A lot of people want the Titans to go get him, understandably so. We've heard about Malik Neighbors. We've heard about some of these wide receivers. But is Brock Bowers actually an option for the Titans to draft at number 7? I mean, you got to look. I think you've got 3 quarterbacks going ahead of them. I think you've got Marvin Harrison going ahead of them. And then it comes down to what the Giants and the Chargers do. I mean, either one of those teams could go with the tackle. They could go Joe Alt. But I definitely think one of them is going to go with Malik Neighbors. I think as the time leading up to the draft goes on, I think you're going to see Malik Neighbors just pick up more and more steam. And by the time it's done, I think that the Giants or the Chargers will absolutely take Malik Neighbors. And, it could be one of those things where Brock Bowers isn't even there by the time the Titans pick, because the Chargers could take Bowers, the Giants could take Neighbors, and then there's the Titans and they take Joe Alt and we move on with our lives. But if Brock Bowers were to be there at number 7, would that be a good pick for the Tennessee Titans? It is a tight end, and you might look at that and say, well, tight end is not exactly at the top of the list of needs for the Titans, but you know as well as I do, Brock Bowers would pretty much come in as a wide receiver. I mean, the guy, I living in the South myself, I watched a whole lot of Georgia football over these last few years, and Brock Bowers is a stud. I will tell you that. And I think his draft stock's only going to grow. It wouldn't shock me as of now. It would not shock me if the first 3 picks in the draft are all quarterbacks: Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Marvin Harrison go to Arizona at 4. Malik Neighbors, I think the Giants are first. I think the Giants are 5th, and then the Chargers are 6th. I would say the Giants take Malik Neighbors at 5, and then the Chargers have a choice between Brock Bowers or Joe Alt. And so I think whoever's left, the Titans, I mean, if Brock Bowers is still there at 7 and Joe Alt is gone and Malik Neighbors is gone, there's a good chance the Titans might take Brock Bowers, There's also the option there that the Titans could try to trade back, pick up more draft capital. Some people have suggested the Titans could trade up and try to get Marvin Harrison. I don't really know if the Titans are in a position to do that. The Titans, like I said, they don't have a whole lot of draft cap. I mean, they do now with the Kevin Byard trade, but I mean, they don't have a 3rd-round pick, and so I don't know. That's a risk-reward type thing. Another guy people are talking about is T. Higgins, wide receiver from the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of rumors have been surrounding him for months, even back when the season was still going. He's set to be a free agent this year, and a lot of people, not just Tennessee, a lot of teams are wanting T. Higgins. He's kind of been wide receiver 2 in Cincinnati. He would be wide receiver 1 on a lot of teams, but he's been wide receiver 2 because they have Jamar Chase, and we understand that. But especially with Brian Callahan coming from Cincinnati, that has only increased the speculation that T. Higgins could come to Nashville, and T. Higgins fueled those rumors yesterday in the media when he was asked specifically about coming to play for Tennessee, and he said pretty much, hey, that'd be a good fit, that's my home. That's, Brian Callahan is a coach that I've been with, know very well. That would be a good fit, is what he said. A lot of people seem to think Cincinnati is probably going to bring him back. That's the line of thinking that I tend to have. I think Cincinnati's going to bring him back. But, I mean, hey, I do think if he hits free agency, I think there's a good chance. I think there is a good chance that he could land with the Tennessee Titans. The only thing standing in his way, I think, is if Cincinnati puts a franchise tag on him or something like that. That obviously prevents it. But, I mean, I think it's definitely possible. And you guys know how I feel about this. I've been adamant about this. Will Levis, I think, has a lot of talent. And I think there's a lot of upside. But you have to get elite talent around him. I'm telling you, as talented as I think Will is, he's got to have more than what he's had with the guys that, I mean, and that's another thing with a new regime, with Vrabel and company gone, and now Callahan's bringing in a new coaching staff. I think there is now hope that we will stop relying on, B to C level guys trying to come in and be A+ guys. I think that is, there's hope that the Titans will actually try to go out and get weapons instead of just throwing whoever you have out there. Um, we apparently have a Jags fan in the chat who says the Jags are going to get T. Higgins. Better luck next time. Hey, you know what? Titans have more money than the Jags this offseason, baby. I do think he goes back to Tennessee. B Ravens 1 is in the chat and says, what are your thoughts on the NFL awards last night? The only award I had a problem with was Joe Flacco. I would have gone with Hamlin instead. Maybe Stafford if you want to argue impact. I mean, I think that with DeMar Hamlin, obviously that is such a unique situation. And I think with that award, you have to talk about what the definition of that award even is. I think a happy conclusion that I think I saw a lot of people come to was that they should name the award after DeMar Hamlin. You know, because, I mean, the guy came back from death, you know. But it is, I get that is a complex conversation in terms of DeMar Hamlin, and then you have players like Joe Flacco and stuff. Lamar Jackson winning the MVP, I thought, you know, that was the obvious way to go. It's always tough when they do these NFL awards, because you have some people who win awards, but they finished the season on a sour note, like Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson, I think, was the MVP, but when he wins this award last night, you're going to have people who say, well, wait a minute, he against the Chiefs, he blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you have to remember this is about the season as a whole, and really, who else was there to give that award to other than him? Like, you could give it to Mahomes, but over the course of the season, Mahomes had some rough patches in there. I think that, I mean, maybe the whole Chiefs offense, but it reflected in Mahomes' numbers. You know, there was at one point people thought Jalen Hurts would be the MVP, and then he slacked off. At one point, people thought Brock Purdy would be the MVP, and then he slacked off. I mean, we went through all these different quarterbacks. Lamar was the most consistent, and so I know when the season ends a certain way, where things don't look as good, people go, well, how can we give the MVP to him? I say the same thing about Coach of the Year, which I believe they gave to Kevin Stefanski. Some people believe there were, you know, better options. Some people thought DeMeco Ryans. I could see that, but I do think in the grand scheme of things, Kevin Stefanski had a team that lost Nick Chubb early. Kevin Stefanski had a team that lost their quarterback. He had a team that really overperformed what people thought they were going to be, especially with the injuries. So I can still see, I mean, I said Kevin Stefanski all year. So I understand how things ended for the Browns. It's like, but, you know, over the course of the year, I thought Kevin Stefanski did a good job. I do want to say thanks to Q Revere, who was giving me trouble about the Jag a second ago, donated to the channel, said, Hacker sent me. Hacker! He said, I enjoy your perspective and voice. Respect. Hey, respect to you too, man. I appreciate the donation. Respect you as well, and I respect Hacker, man. I appreciate Hacker. He's had me on his show a few times, allowed me to promote the podcast and come on and talk some ball with him. And so I definitely appreciate Hacker and the station there over in Jacksonville, over in Duval. And so, yeah, that was the NFL honors last night. And, you know, I think usually by the time we get to the NFL honors, those awards are usually a no-brainer. You can usually tell where things are going to go with those. But the Super Bowl's in 2 days. And it always at this time of year gets me thinking, like, what am I ever going to do if it's the Titans in this situation? Like, because they haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2000. And, you know, for teams like the Chiefs and the Patriots, even the 49ers have been to a few now. Like, okay, yeah, you know, it's great. Like, it's what you ultimately hope for, but like, we know what it's like to be there. But for like Titans fans like me, I'm just sitting here, I'm like, dude, if it was 2 days until my team played in the Super Bowl, I don't even think I would be able to sit in this chair. Like, you would have to sedate me to get me to sit still. You know what I'm saying? Like every year when the Super Bowl rolls around, I'm always like, dude, what am I going to do if the Titans ever get to this point? Like, what am I going to do if I'm sitting here 2 days before the Titans play somebody in the Super Bowl? Like I would literally have to wear a heart rate monitor to make sure that my heart rate was staying in check. I would be going so crazy. So I definitely, there's an excitement that comes with the Super Bowl, but if you're like me, there's also a certain depression that comes with it because it signifies the end of football season. And this was a weird season. Weird season overall, a weird season for the Titans, obviously, with everything that the Titans went through and just a wild roller coaster. But it was that kind of way for the whole season. And as I reflect on the whole season, you know, I'm not surprised with the two teams that are left. I think if you had told me before the season started it's going to come down to the Chiefs and the 49ers, I would have been like, yeah, that sounds about right. So for all of the twists and turns, we end up with two teams that we all could have predicted anyway. But, yeah, it definitely was a roller coaster ride. The playoffs were a roller coaster ride. And I hate to see football season end. I really do. I hate to see football season end. But the good news is, as soon as that Super Bowl's over Sunday night, a new season begins. And like I said, free agency starts next month, then the draft, then more free agency and trades, and then we're back at the preseason, baby. So it's going to be good. What I want to do today, in the past, I have done the 32-1 power rankings, where I would rank the teams from 1 to 32. Today, we're doing a little different. We're doing 24-1 Super Bowl rankings. I am going through every Super Bowl since 2000. Just start at 2000 because the age that I am, I don't remember much prior to. So I'm going to start at 2000, and I am ranking the 24 Super Bowls since 2000 from worst to best. This is 24-1. Coming in at number 24, it is Super Bowl 48. The Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos. I think this is the worst Super Bowl I can remember. For those of you that remember this game, this was a blowout. This was a complete and utter domination station. The Seahawks, Legion of Boom. Everybody expected this to be a great Super Bowl, and it was just a throttling from start to finish. The Seahawks absolutely dismantling the Broncos. Was never even close. 23, going a little old school here. Super Bowl 35. The Baltimore Ravens defeat the New York Giants. This was another blowout. I think 35-7. The Ravens won this game. Again, the Ravens, this was when they had that defense with Ray Lewis. I mean, they were just unbelievable. One of the best defenses in the history of the NFL. Giants couldn't keep up. The only remotely entertaining thing about this game was that they had back-to-back kickoff returns. The Giants returned to kick for a touchdown, and everybody thought they were going to get back in the game. And then the very next thing that happened is the Ravens returned to kick for a touchdown. That's about the only entertaining thing that happened in this game. Number 22 on the Super Bowl countdown just a few years ago, Super Bowl 53, the New England Patriots against the Rams. Jared Goff versus Brady. This was Brady's last Super Bowl win with the Patriots before the Titans came to town the next year and ended the dynasty. Very boring game. It's easier to remember because it was just, I think, 2019. Very boring game. Low scoring. Patriots won. The biggest play of the game was the play in the picture there where Gronk made that big catch, which resulted in the game's only touchdown. Not a good Super Bowl at all. And so that's why it is at the bottom of this list. Continuing on to number 21, it is, again, one of the old school ones. Super Bowl 37, the Raiders versus the Buccaneers. Fun fact, the head coach of the Raiders in this Super Bowl, and my dog knows about it. My dog's telling you about it right now. The head coach of the Raiders in this game, Bill Callahan, who is now the offensive line coach, father of Brian Callahan. This was a game where the Bucs just again, defensively, they dominated the game. I think one guy had like 5 interceptions. Rich Gannon had a tough day. The Raiders beat the Titans in the AFC title game to get into this game. And then they got their butts whooped by the Buccaneers, so they got what was coming to them. And John Gruden was the coach of the Bucs at that time. Number 20, again, not too long ago, about 9 years ago, Super Bowl 50. The Panthers and the Broncos. To tell you everything you need to know about this game is remembered for the fact that Cam Newton fumbled the ball and chose not to dive on it. This was, to me, the beginning of the end of Cam Newton's NFL career. You know, he won the MVP. He got to this point. He fumbles the ball. There's a scrum for it. He backs away in the Super Bowl. He makes a business decision. And I don't think Cam was ever the same after this. Again, this Broncos defense was great. And Peyton Manning won another Super Bowl here, which he deserved. And it wasn't really, the defense kind of did carry him there. But it was good to see Peyton go out with a Super Bowl win. How many quarterbacks can say they did that? And that defense that Denver had that season was legit. Now we go into the teens. Number 19, Super Bowl 40. Kind of a forgettable Super Bowl. The Steelers and the Seahawks. Matt Hasselbeck versus Ben Roethlisberger. The most eventful thing that happened in this game was that I believe it was Antoine Randall L. threw a touchdown to Hines Ward. Look at Hines Ward in that picture. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see Hines Ward always had that big smile on his face while he was laying the wood to guys. But this was just an aight Super Bowl. I mean, not really one that you remember prevalently. I think obviously Sean Alexander. There's a name you hadn't heard in a while. Steelers won this one by a couple of scores. And I think that was Big Ben's first Super Bowl. Number 18, from just a few years ago, Brady's last Super Bowl. The Bucs beat the Chiefs in Super Bowl 55. The coolest thing about this was just to see Tom Brady solidify the fact that he is truly, there will never be another like him. The guy goes to another team and wins a Super Bowl with them against Mahomes and the Chiefs. Like, unbelievable. Brady just solidified that he's just the greatest. And the Bucs, I mean, I think Gronkowski had 2 touchdowns in this game. Patrick Mahomes did everything he could. He was trying to throw touchdowns while falling down, falling sideways, all kinds of crazy stuff. But the Bucs end up winning. This was a fun Bucs team to watch. Brady, what can you even say about that? Number 17, as we continue on this list, Super Bowls since 2000. Number 17, Super Bowl 41. In the rain, the Colts beat the Bears. Obviously, this game is remembered for the fact that Devin Hester, notable name as there's talks of him going into the NFL Hall of Fame. Devin Hester returned the opening kickoff, and that's about the only good thing that happened for Chicago in this game. It was sloppy. It was rainy. Really, the other thing this game is remembered for is the halftime show with Prince. I mean, one of the best halftime shows ever. But Peyton Manning, I mean, this was huge for him, and I know we all hate the Colts, and it sucked to see them win a Super Bowl, but Peyton Manning, I mean, the narrative surrounding him at that point was very similar to the narrative that surrounds Josh Allen now. He's a great regular season quarterback, but he can't do it in the playoffs. Well, Peyton finally did it here, beat the Bears. I'm just gonna ask this in the chat, in the YouTube chat. Can anyone tell me who the starting quarterback was for the Chicago Bears in this game? Super Bowl 41 against the Colts. Can anybody tell me who the starting quarterback was for the Bears in this Super Bowl? The quarterback who led the Bears to this Super Bowl against the Indianapolis Colts. Does anybody remember the name? Luke says Kyle Orton. That is not correct, but Q Revere has it correct. It was Rex Grossman. That's a name that I bet you have not thought about in 15 years or more. Rex Grossman. against Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl. Number 16, as we continue on this list, at number 16, a Super Bowl that was not bad, but it is kind of forgotten. It's Aaron Rodgers' only Super Bowl win. Super Bowl 45, the Green Bay Packers against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This actually came down to the end. I mean, this was a one-possession game. The Packers jumped out to a huge lead. Steelers mounted a comeback, but the Packers held on. Again, Aaron Rodgers' only Super Bowl win. And this was a cool story for Green Bay because they went into the playoffs this year as the 6th seed. They were the lowest seed. And you know how that usually goes. Like, you don't expect the 6th seed to make a run, but they did, and they won the Super Bowl. And that was a fun Packers team to watch. They beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl 45. That's number 16. Now we get to number 15, Super Bowl 54. This one hurts because a lot of us feel like the Titans very well could have been in this game as the Chiefs beat the 49ers. The first, we're getting a rematch of this year. So many of us, this is when the Chiefs beat the Titans in the AFC title game. And, man, it hurts because we thought the Titans was going to get there. God, they got so close. But the Chiefs ended up winning. It was Mahomes' first Super Bowl, Super Bowl 54. And this is kind of what the Chiefs did that year. They got down by a bunch of scores, came back and won easily. That's what they did all throughout the playoffs. And I mean, the fact that the Chiefs are still as good as they are, and then at this point they had Tyreek Hill, it's not fair. Just not fair. Number 14, Super Bowl 39, and again, one of those that kind of gets forgotten. Donovan McNabb and the Eagles against the Patriots. Patriots won, obviously, because the Patriots always won Super Bowls. But this was the year everybody thought McNabb was finally gonna get him a Super Bowl. He was doing all the Campbell's commercials with his mama. But the Patriots won, came down to the end. But obviously that Patriots team was just ridiculous. They beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 39. At number 13, we've got Super Bowl 44. This is the Saints beating the Colts. Obviously, we remember the onside kick by the Saints coming out of the half, and we remember the pick six at the end to seal it. This was especially a great story because it was coming off of Hurricane Katrina. Saints go on to win a Super Bowl, and what a story that team was. Drew Brees, only Super Bowl win, so it's notable for that. Peyton Manning getting to the Super Bowl again with the Colts, but coming up short. This was a good game. I think the thing that would make it higher on this list would have been, for me as an unbiased fan, if the Colts had gone down and scored to tie it. Then you see what happens. But, I mean, Brees versus Manning, two of the best going against each other. Number 12, as we near the top 10. Number 12, the blackout game. The Ravens and the 49ers in Super Bowl 47. Obviously, we remember the blackout. The Ravens were up huge. Then the lights went out in the dome. And then the 49ers mounted a comeback. Quarterback for the 49ers was Colin Kaepernick. And, of course, it was Flacco with the Ravens. And the Harbaugh brothers going against each other. This could happen again now. Well, not in the Super Bowl because they're both in the AFC. But we could see it. I think we actually will. The Ravens and the Chargers play each other this upcoming season. So we'll see the Harbaugh brothers go at it again. I believe the NFL is better with Jim Harbaugh in it. I think he's a good coach. And, he coached the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers, I don't know how they didn't win a Super Bowl in this era because they were just in the Super Bowl or NFC title game every year, but they couldn't ever win the Super Bowl. This was the Ray Lewis retirement tour. Or he retired after this. Ravens beat the Niners. That was a good Super Bowl. Every Super Bowl from here on out was good. Number 11, Super Bowl 57, just last year. The Eagles and the Chiefs. The thing that would have made this one higher on the list, because this was a great Super Bowl. This was on its way to being one of the best, but the holding call at the end kind of ruined it. And I'm not saying it was a bad call. It was just such a lame ending to what had been a great Super Bowl up until that point, to have the holding call to where it pretty much ends the game. I mean, the Chiefs were able to run it down, kick the field goal. So it was a great Super Bowl, but the ending kind of lowers it on the list for me. That's why it doesn't crack the top 10. But now we're into the top 10. And at number 10, It is a couple of years ago, Super Bowl 56, the Rams against the Bengals. Again, a Super Bowl that many Titans fans feel like we could have been in, but the Bengals were there, and maybe hadn't played like crap in the divisional round. It could have been us, but the Rams beat the Bengals. This was a really good Super Bowl, really great Super Bowl. It was good to see two teams, even though I hated to see the Bengals there instead of us. It was still good to see two teams that weren't just the same old team. Like, I feel like the Chiefs are always in the Super Bowl. Before them, the Patriots were always in the Super Bowl. 49ers are always in the Super Bowl. Like, the Eagles are always hanging around the Super Bowl. But this was the Rams and the Bengals. It's like, okay, like this is two like different teams. You know, it's Joe Burrow versus Matt Stafford. Like this was a good Super Bowl. It came down to the end, and it was good to see Matt Stafford. You know, great story, very likable guy. He finally gets a Super Bowl win. Now we move on to number 9, and it is Super Bowl 46, the Giants against the Patriots the second time. This game, I mean, Eli Manning and his ability to just turn on some weird magic in the Super Bowl, unbelievable. The throw down the sideline, just one of the best throws you'll ever see. And this Patriots team, I mean, I would argue some of the Patriots teams that just missed winning the Super Bowl could probably beat some of their teams that ended up actually winning. And this was one of those. I mean, you just felt like the Patriots were the best team in the league, but the Giants, like, they were the Patriots' kryptonite. You know, they were this era of the Patriots' kryptonite. And this was great. Even down to the last play, Gronk almost made an unbelievable catch on the Hail Mary on the last play. This was a great Super Bowl. Moving on to number 8, Super Bowl 52, the Eagles and the Patriots. Whole lot of Patriots on this list. Patriots, this was Nick Foles and the Philly special and all of that. This was a great game. And a great story. I mean, to see Nick Foles, of all people, you know, and this game was back and forth all the way. And this game really had everything you could want in a Super Bowl. Very entertaining, very fun to watch. And Eagles end up getting a win there at the end. Huge win for them. Number 7, to me, the most underrated Super Bowl of all time, Super Bowl 38, the Patriots and the Panthers. This game, you want to talk about a Super Bowl that had everything that you could ever want. This game had big play after big play after big. I think the halftime show for this was Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. So, you know what that was, but you know this game, Jake Delhomme, there's a name you hadn't heard in a long time, if ever, was quarterback of the Panthers, and I mean they went toe to toe with the Patriots the entire game, and then Vinatieri, you know, hits the kick at the end. But this was, to me, this is an underrated Super Bowl that not a lot of people talk about or remember. But this was a great, great, great Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Panthers. Came down to the wire, and of course, the Patriots pulled it out. Number 6, it is Super Bowl 36, the Rams and the Patriots. Again, the Patriots, this was the beginning of the Brady era. This was Brady's first Super Bowl. This was just, I mean, that last drive is just Hall of Fame. Like, but the last drive of this game, going down, Brady just, I think they had no timeouts. Going against Kurt Warner and the Rams, who were heavily favored. I remember I thought it was the coolest thing in the world that the first Super Bowl after 9/11 was won by a team called the Patriots. I just remember as a kid thinking that was cool. And I had no idea at that time watching that as I watched Tom Brady march down the field that I would be watching him for the next 20 years do this over and over and over again. But this was great. This was a very, and I think this was the last I don't remember if this was the last game that was called by John Madden and Pat Summerall, but man, just this game, I get very nostalgic for this Super Bowl. Top five, number five. Oh brother, I wanted to put this one last. I wanted to put this Super Bowl last. Super Bowl 34, the Titans and the Rams. I have to come at it unbiased. This was a great Super Bowl. You know, as Titans fans, it was awful. Awful to look back on. We hate it. But it really did encapsulate everything that the Titans were about. They got down big. They're going against the greatest show on turf, the Kurt Warner and all of the weapons that the Rams had, and everybody just thought the Rams were gonna run away with it. And the Titans got down early, and just iconic images in Titans history from this game of Eddie George pushing through three guys to get into the end zone. They come back, they tie it, they give up the big plays. Steve, oh my goodness, Steve just marches them down the field, gets away from four guys to find Dyson, and oh, like it's the most like it's an ending that as a Titans fan it breaks your heart, but gosh, you're still so proud of that team for just, I mean, you got right there. You know, I've always wondered if Jeff Fisher would have gone for two if we had scored, because nowadays you probably would. In today's NFL, you probably would, but then I don't know. Either way, I mean, we might have gone to overtime. I don't know, but man, what a heartbreaker. Great game though. Number four. How about the Malcolm Butler game? Super Bowl 49, the Patriots and the Seahawks. Still baffled to this day of the play call, but this was, I mean, this whole game was just phenomenal. Brady and Russell, I mean, this was the Seahawks when they were the like Legion of Boom. They, you know, people thought they were going to be a dynasty there for a little bit. They were never the same after this. But the Patriots get the win. Malcolm Butler makes a huge play, and then he came to Tennessee, made a few plays for us too. This was a great game. Number three is probably all Patriots. Nope, not this one. Number three is the Cardinals and the Steelers. Oh man, you want to talk about a game, a Super Bowl that had everything. You had James Harrison with one of the best plays I've ever seen, the 99-yard interception return. A funny story for you. Years ago on Twitter, I had an interaction with Kurt Warner where I was dogging him about beating the Titans in the Super Bowl 34. And I told him, because he was actually responding to me, I said, every time I watch a replay of it, Super Bowl 34, I just always hope that Kevin Dyson's going to somehow break that tackle and go into the end zone and score. And he responded to me and said, yeah, and every time I watch that Super Bowl against Pittsburgh, I always hope that somebody's going to tackle James Harrison when he's running down the sideline, and nobody ever does. That was a great play. Larry Fitzgerald with the big play to tie it. I mean, this Cardinals team, they were a great story. And then ultimately, Big Ben with one of the best throws I've ever seen to Santonio Holmes to win the game. This Super Bowl, like, this was everything you could ever want in a Super Bowl. Number two. Oh, boy. Number two. Super Bowl 51. 28-3. This Super Bowl was well on its way to being one of the worst. I mean, the Falcons were just going to kill them and win the Super Bowl. To me, this night right here solidified Tom Brady as the greatest of all time. I mean, he went on to win 2 more Super Bowls after this, and I don't even think he needed to, because I think this game solidified you're the best ever. 28-3, and I watched it I watched it happen that night, and I still can't believe it happened. I have good friends of mine who are diehard Falcons fans, and they still can't even believe that this actually happened. That they were up 28-3 toward the end of the third quarter of the Super Bowl. Had every chance. I mean, Julio, even when they were up by 8, the Falcons were only up by 8. Julio catches that pass on the sideline. All you have to do at that point, you can take a knee 3 straight times, kick a field goal, and it's over. It's a 2-possession game. Instead, they get sacked, holding, like all of this crazy stuff. And then, of course, Julian Edelman has that ridiculous catch. And when the Patriots won the coin toss in overtime, I knew it was good as done. And then number 1. It is Super Bowl 42, the Giants and the Patriots, the near-perfect Patriots. This Super Bowl just, it was something like what the WWE would put together. I mean, of course, the team that beat everybody, undefeated, the big bad Patriots who nobody could conquer, finally get to the end. They have to go against the lowly David and Goliath type battle Giants, and they lose to Eli Manning and Plaxico Burress. To me, what makes this the best Super Bowl is just the circumstances, that the Patriots were perfect. They were about to be the only perfect team in NFL history, and of all teams to ruin it, Eli Manning and the Giants. I mean, it was storybook. You waited all year to see somebody beat the Patriots. You gave up hope that it was ever going to happen. And then finally, at the end, the Giants did it. You know, it was like, that's the way it should end. That's the way a football season should end, is with the big bad wolf getting conquered by the lowly Giants. Oh, so there you go. The 24-1 Super Bowl countdown. And now we move on to this Sunday, the Chiefs and the Niners. I realize a lot of people are rooting for the Niners because the people are just sick of the Chiefs. They want to see somebody different. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a good game. I do think the 49ers have the better weapons, McCaffrey and Samuel and Kittle. But the Chiefs have Mahomes, and I just won't bet against him in the playoffs. So I'm going with the Chiefs. 27-20. I'm going with the Chiefs over the 49ers, and the only reason why is because of Patrick Mahomes. I think the I think the 49ers are better at running back. I think they're better on defense. Not by much. I think the Chiefs have a good defense too, but I think the 49ers are better on defense. I think they got better wide receivers. I think they got a better offensive line. But I just think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the difference, as he always is. I got the Chiefs over the Niners. This has been the Two Tone by God pod, episode 81. Appreciate everybody listening. I will be back Monday to talk about the Super Bowl. Appreciate everybody. Have a good day. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Two Tone by God pod. Staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. Bye, everybody.
Free to be whoever you want to be. Feel free to dance. Feel free to sing. Just feel free. Feels like the world is picking on ya. Feels like it's picking on me. But trying to please everybody, that ain't no way to be. So many people try to get you to fit their mold. I think it's time for a change.